Welcome to Now About the James Bill. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining me. This video starts a bit differently to the normal ones because, well, I didn't record an intro before I started making the dinette and the cushions and upholstering it and stuff. And since then, we've been hit by the dreadful news that Emma from B&W Fuels has sadly passed away a couple of days ago. And she's been on this channel loads of times, and it's just knocked us all for six really. Kevin put it up on social media a couple of days ago, and there's been a real kind of outpouring of emotion and grief, because whoever she came into contact with, she was just such a ray of light and always a smile, even when she was delivering fuel in the worst conditions, hammering it down with rain and Kevin barking orders at her. She was just so cool and chilled and just such a lovely person to be around, and luckily Rob and I have spent a lot of time with Emma over the years, so for many she was just Emma the fuel boat lady, but for many other people who got to know her as Emma, she was really something special, and she'll be sorely missed. So this video is kind of dedicated to her. I know she used to watch the channel, and so I said I don't really know how to start this, so let's just crack on with making the dinette cushions. Up here in the midships cabin, there's a couple of kitchen cupboards there which are just drying. The gloss is going off on them. You'll see here I've got all this foam. This is actually a cut up mattress from that subscriber's house I'm renovating down on the south coast. He was going to chuck this out. It's pretty much new. It's just a memory foam, but obviously a double mattress has got a shed load of foam to it, and there's a part of the dinette that I'm going to have to build using foam and shape it. So I thought instead of buying massive chunks of foam and then hacking it all apart, I thought I would try to do it with this. Okay, so in the dinette, obviously the base cushions are just going to be basic base cushions. This one here is going to be a curved cushion which occupies that corner. There's not going to be any void behind it because there isn't that much space. So the whole thing is going to be foam. And that, to buy all of that, would have cost a fortune, because it'd have been a cube of 60 by 60 by 60. So yeah, it cost a fortune, and I've got to do two of them. I've got one in that corner over there to do as well. So my plan is to layer it up and then kind of carve it into the right shape, and then I can go about upholstering it. And before you kind of gulp in amazement that I'm going to attempt to upholster something again, bear in mind that is my last attempt, I've learned a few. I've done some homework, so we'll see. And I might not even do it yet. I might hopefully get someone to help me, but we'll see. But in the meantime, I need to cut this down. The mattress is too thick, so the base cushion needs to be 13 centimeters high. 10 is what that was, and it's a little bit measly. And over time, obviously, it compresses a bit. So a bit more luxurious this time. So I'm going to go for 13 centimeters, which is about that much. So I need to lop off that. And as you can see, I need to trim up the edges because that was just done with a knife, although not that bad. So that's the plan. Hack all this down a bit. Okay, so this is going to be the back cushion, right? This is going to come up here. So it's 15 centimeters thickness there, and that's the kind of shape I'm going for. So it's going to have a bit of it's going to come out where the lumber is down the bottom here, and then go in a bit and have a nice round over at the top. I'm obviously going to finish this foam in a lightweight foam or a Daclon or something like that. Anyway, it's like a padding that you put over all this, but obviously I need to make the carcass out of foam. So I think if that was my first bit, and then the second bit I'll layer up on top of that, and then kind of start to shape it a little bit, and then glue the second bit to that, and then and do it that way. And obviously then if I cover the whole thing in thin foam, then it doesn't really matter about some of the seams that you might feel or see. Well, you're not going to see it or feel it, hopefully. So yeah, I think this might work, but it's quite a lot of cut out there, quite a lot of excess. So and that's probably all going to be wasted. So if I bought all this, that's why, you know, that's why this has been quite fortuitous. I'm kind of just making this up as I go along, obviously, as you can tell, but I have tried approaches which are kind of well known to be the right way to do it. So I tried doing a hot knife, but that was just rubbish. It was nowhere near big enough to do all of this. I tried heating stuff up, to attach some steel string to a soldering iron, and that didn't work. And I don't really want to buy an electric carving knife just to do this. Certainly if I can kind of make do, and bear in mind there is going to be fabric before the fabric, if you like, so all these edges, and I think here we go, that is not that bad. I've also seen a technique for using a potato peeler to basically file this down, or one of those things that you scrub your hard skin off your feet with is also another way of like sanding that all back. So I'm gonna give that a go. Right, that's what I've got up to. I've used a couple of things to shape it. It's actually gone quite nicely. That is not a bad shape. It's fine when there's quite a lot of material. On some of the thinner pieces, it's harder to shape, although I have found a tool to do it, and it is this, which is I think it's a drywall rasp. So I've got a small one, and I got a large blade without the holder on it, so I can get a bit of a curve to it, which helps get round some of those bits. It's pretty laborious, but I've just sat down on there, and that is surprisingly comfy. However, it is a tad upright, so I'm thinking if I were to bring it in at the top here to this line and kind of keep it down to like there, that will make it look a bit more cushiony as well. At the moment it just looks pretty much vertical, just with a bad cut there, but actually it's meant to be a bit more. So I'm thinking that might work. Then I can pack a few of these little gaps and put some glue on it and stuff. Right, the first bit to be glued is the base of the cushion, which is this piece of like 3mm ply. That goes there into the corner, so the cushion overhangs on all edges, apart from the back and the corner. Right, you've got to excuse the mess in here. I've been filing this down with these two, which has actually gone pretty well. It's kind of, I'm able to get a fairly nice kind of curve on it. It's not particularly easy to work with, this foam, but it's actually better when it's all together as one big piece. So I've got the base on it. This piece of foam here, this cushion, is going to be it's a little bit too low, so the new one, which I've ordered, will bring it up a little bit, up to about there, which I quite like, there being a gap underneath there. I could potentially like illuminate that. So yeah, it'd be that kind of height. I don't really want it to be up to there. I mean, no, I don't want that. I'd like it to be like that. But in terms of the ergonomics of it, I mean, aesthetics, it looks dreadful at the moment, but in terms of the ergonomics, this is surprisingly comfortable. I think with that kind of bit sticking out there for the lumbar, that works quite nicely. Yeah, this kind of works well. Obviously it will come up to there, and then there'll be a long one down there, and I need another one of these in that corner. So I'm glad, kind of as a prototype, it kind of works. Now this one I want to do at a slight angle. So I'm going to be away from this line. Actually, I might draw that line in. Okay, so let's see, it goes that piece and that piece, and should be starting to taper up. Yes. Oh yeah, I've made a much easier job of this one than I did the last one. Now I can start to shape it. I do not really like working with foam. It doesn't really do what you want it to do. It kind of bounces back into shape. But using these rasps, I am kind of slowly getting some shape out of this thing. Okay, that's the second one I did, which is way better. So I'm going to redo my first one. So I got two much more similar ones like that. I've remade that one, and now it matches up with that one. And it's actually gone quite well, the shaping of that. I've got quite a lot of offcuts of obviously all of that stuff. So what I think I'm going to do is make up the back straight piece, which should be quite straightforward, because now these are both made of the same thickness bits of the old mattress. It's just a case of kind of cutting and sticking the bits together. Okay, I've made that one now. Once I've done all these, I'll work out what the best kind of orientation is. Then I can glue them together. This is my plan anyway. Glue them together, much like I've done with this one here. Glue it together, and then I'll be able to hopefully make a nice straight cut down both sides there, and then laminate the edge with a bit of thin foam. But for the moment, I've got to make another one of those to go there. And then another little bit there, join them all up together, trim the ends, and hopefully make one contoured cushion. Okay, 4 of them done. 2 more to do. Okay, I've glued up these 3 cushions now. I need to conjoin them all, but you'll see the gaps there aren't very good, so I'm going to trim them all down now to that centre one. Then I'll trim down the edges so I get the right length, basically. Okay, those are the cushions kind of okay cut. Those ones have been trimmed, so I can stick all them together, and then I'm going to cover the ends in nice foam, and then I need to trim the ends of that one. I also need to make it to continue to there as well, and you get real flavour for how it will feel. I need to trim it there as well. Right, there's the cushion. I have filled in these bits here with some offcuts, just so it kind of maintains a bit of its shape. I've put an end on it of just some thin foam and kind of shape that to it. I've also put a back on it and a bottom on it. So that's essentially what I've got, and it fits in pretty nicely, to be honest. Yeah, kind of rests against the wall quite nicely. So now I've got this stuff here, which is polyester wadding, which I'm told I wrap around there, staple it to the timber back and bottom of that, and that will kind of be a base in which to put my fabric on. In terms of like the ergonomics and the comfort of this, I think I've got this right, these cushions, the shaping of the foam. Definitely got the height of this right. If it was up here, it looks a bit too tall. The ones I did on Slow Patrol were actually above the gunnel. I think having it lower makes it look bigger, and it actually does make this area look pretty big now, having all of these. Right, I've trimmed up that one. I now need to put some extra foam on that one now, so it obviously marries up. That gap there which I've trimmed, that will be okay, as will that one there for that cushion. I've just got to trim the edge off that one. Right, I've put the extensions on that one. I now need to do one for this corner here, and I lopped off a bit more than I needed to so I could put this piece on. And this kind of foam, I'm finding it easier to shape, because this one really needs to kind of curve in quite nicely here, so it kind of, yeah, so it kind of starts nicely, I guess. And then I can pack all those holes and kind of put the backing and the bottom on that one. There we go. That is all the cushions now complete in terms of the foam work. Actually, no, I need to do that little bit there. But other than that, I can then go on with the wadding like I've done on that one, on these remaining ones. This here is the wadding material which I'm laying over the foam before I put on the upholstery. And I'd like to thank very much Blue Diva, who just commented this morning on the last video saying that make sure I do use wadding because it makes putting the upholstery on much easier. But they also said I can use contact adhesive, which is a blessing because I've used staples to put it in and it's just not going very easily. Obviously this is the curved piece, which is not going to be straightforward anyway, but this stuff is really horrible to work with. Certainly with glue on your fingers, it kind of is, yeah, it's nasty stuff. But using contact adhesive, as Blue Diva said, will hopefully mean that I can put it in strips and layer it on and just make it kind of go on a bit better. She said to whoever it is, they said to use thick wadding. I don't know if this is thick wadding. I think I've got enough of it, so I might double up if I can. But yeah, I've just got to get all this done. So I'm going to give it a go and see if the contact adhesive is any better than staples. I bloody hope it is. That was a thoroughly unpleasant task, putting the wadding on all of that. And it was also pretty much the hardest thing I've done on this boat. I am seriously hoping that the fabric that I put on top of this goes on easier, and not only that, actually kind of counteracts some of that. I mean, it's some of the bits are nice and tight. Obviously doing those ones was a damn sight easier than doing these curved ones. On that one I ended up doing it in strips. I thought that might be the best way to go, but now I'm not so sure. But if the fabric does have lines going up it, then that's probably not, I can make my peace with that. Okay, let's go get the fabric. Here's the fabric I've gone for. It is leatherette, much like what I've used in the midships cabin. However, this is black, so I thought the black might work quite well with the walnut in here and the colour of the kitchen worktops and things. So I've bought 7 meters of this, and it's 10 quid a metre, which, to be honest, I think is quite good value. I'm not sure if I've got enough to do all of this, but I'm going to utilise my table here without trying to put too much weight on it. Okay, let me try the easiest one first, dare I say it. Quite a lot of excess. Oh goodness. Right. I'm kind of cacking myself about the corners, but I'm thinking this leatherette has got a bit of a stretch to it. I've got the board on the back, so if I pin everything back to there, I watched a few videos of trying to do it without pleating the corners, which I might try to do, but let's just do it, I guess. In other YouTube videos I've watched where people have done upholstery, they've made it look a damn sight easier than what I'm doing here. I'm really struggling. I think it's because I'm using way too much material. I'm trying to cover the whole cushion in this black leatherette, which now I'm working with reminds me of the black winter coats worn by the Gestapo. Well, I'm not going to show you the back of this. I'm glad I started with the easy one because that was bloody impossible. Well, it was bloody hard, but I didn't get the corner I wanted to at all, but I can kind of make my peace with that. There is going to be a ledge going above this, like a little shelfie type thing. It might be a little bit lower than what I had first of all thought, but that's going to basically eclipse quite a bit of that. But overall, I mean, the main thing that you see is that, and that's okay. Let's check it out for comfort. Yeah, this one here is really quite close to the table. So I guess this will be a good place for the kids to sit, or for one of the little ones to sit. But yeah, it's a little bit close for comfort in this one. I guess then you, yeah, it's all right. But you can lean back, okay. This is quite upright. Those ones are a little bit more reclined, I'm hoping. Oh my word, if I struggled with the last one, I think I might spare you this, and you might have to wait and see the end product. How the hell do I do this? Buying foam online is not particularly straightforward. I found it okay to do the mattresses for the midships cabin, but when it comes to the dinette, I actually want to sit on it and see what it feels like. So here I'm in Dunelm Mill and I am testing out various bits of foam. So the three main types of foam they've got here is reconstituted foam with little bits in it. Then they've just got some main block foam, and then they've got some memory foam. So I'm just working out what kind of configuration it should be. I can laminate them all together to make the seating, just working out what foam to buy. Right, these are all the bits of foam I've got. I've got some 1-inch foam, some 1-inch reconstituted foam, which is kind of really thick stuff, not thick, like dense, and then I've got this 2-inch memory foam. In terms of height wise, this is at the moment, so this is a 3-inch foam and a 2-inch memory foam, 5 inches in total, and that does feel really quite comfy. With this stuff here, which is meant to make it a little bit, because this compacts over time, whereas this compacts less. So, if I was to put that like that, mean, that's, to be honest, that's equally as comfortable, but it's quite high up and it is going to make getting in that much trickier. I think, to be honest, I prefer it if it's that height. Yeah, that does feel much more comfortable at the table, and I think it will be easier to upholster it, and it also means I've got 4 of these, which means I can take them back, and with the money I save on that, I can buy some more Sapele trim. So I think I'm going to do this one. So these can be laminated together, that's easy enough, just with a bit of contact adhesive. I need to make a board, but I need this to kind of stick out a little bit. You'll see that the actual width of that is perfectly the width of that dinette, which I don't know if that's a problem or not. Ideally I'd like it to overhang by a little bit, but I'm not so sure. But I'm going to have to make a cutout anyway, because this bit juts out from that angle there, so it's going to have to make a little cut in it anyway in the board. So first up is to make the board, I think. This is part of the old ceiling. I have trimmed it to size. Now I'm going to go on and stick on the 2 bits of foam. Okay, first cushion is glued to the base with a little cut out there. I'll shape it once it's all kind of foamed together. I think it might be easier that way. Right, that cushion there's mostly been done. I've just got to put on a bit of excess to cover up that gap there, because obviously this one sticks out further than this one. This one here, I was hoping to be one long bench, but it can't be because the material was only 1.4 meters in length. That's 1.3, so it doesn't have enough overhang. So I'm going to have to do it in 2 separate ones, so I'll make them equidistant so it looks the same. Okay, so the base cushions have basically been cut to shape. I still need to shape them a little bit. That one has had the, whatever it's called, put on it, the quilting cover. This one here, I made a complete cock up on. They didn't have enough of this thickness in, so I basically had to buy a 2-inch and a 1-inch and laminate them together, but I forgot to do that, so I've basically got the memory foam underneath the other foam, so that memory foam is going to be essentially useless. However, in terms of sitting down on it, you can't really tell much of a difference, if I'm honest. Next up is to put the leatherette on that one. I'm going to start with that, that's the easier one, then do that, and then hopefully I'll have enough to do all 4 of these. That's okay. I'm actually going to show you the underneath of this one. That's actually not too bad. I still need to pin it down a bit more and tighten it and then kind of neaten up the staple marks, but ridiculously I'm actually running quite low on staples, so I'm not going to overdo it. I just want to get another one done now, and I think I might try doing this. I just want to round those edges off a bit, and I think I'm going to give that one a go. I'm pretty happy with that one. The only problem I've come across is pulling it tight, because you can pull this stuff really quite tight. I've used, as the backing board of this, 3mm ply, and you can see what it's done. It's pulled it right up, which means when it's kind of not being sat on, it does actually sit a bit proud on that corner. I may be thinking over time it might kind of bend down. I mean, you can't feel it when you get on it. I mean, it feels fine, and it doesn't look, you know, if you weren't to know, so if I maybe if I cover this in something, I mean, if you look really closely you'll see, but otherwise I could also pin it down somehow. I'm not sure how I could do that, but I could do that somehow. But yeah, next one to do is that, and I've got to now factor that in mind, pulling it tight. But this one I think is going to make a big difference, because this is what, oh sorry, it's an absolute shit pit in here. That's what you see obviously when you walk in. That's going to be quite a visible one, that one, so I'm going to have to make sure that's good. Right, and back to my nemesis. In terms of upholstering this, I think the problem I've got, and I've tried searching for videos for cushions like this, and there doesn't seem to be anything like it. I think the problem I've got is the fact that it's obviously different dimensions all the way around, and I've got the hardboard on there. So if I was to basically shape it a bit like that, so it's the same thickness all the way around, basically lop off that corner, then it should be, in my mind, easier to upholster. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the worst thing I've ever sewn, but I'm also a little bit more confident that it might be easier to upholster. Okay, that kind of still works. Ooh, made it kind of quite spongy in the corner. I might leave it unsupported. Right, let's see if it's easier to upholster. Okay, I've stuck down some bits of ply, so I've actually got something I can staple the leather to when I bring it round. Now I'm going to offer it up, see if it works. Okay, so far so good in terms of actually got the fabric to go round it without it looking ridiculously bad. I'm going to have a pleat in the middle, so I'm just trying to work out a way for that to be central at 45 degrees and for it to look nice. I'm just kind of bringing all this stuff out, but I don't know, I don't mind the fact it's got creases, I guess. I'm just going to trim up the sides and make sure, well, get it as good as I can get it. I'm just making a couple of relief cuts here on the back so I can kind of trim the back nicely. But apart from making the compromise of having to put a pleat in it, I've at least got an upholstered cushion, and once those are all in, I reckon that'll look all right. I'll have to again pin this back somehow. This one might not be so hard, but kind of raises a little bit in that corner, which is not very good.
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate.
Wow. It's not bad.
It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
For a first attempt.